someone, or are you personally battling a drug and alcohol addiction? Why are so many people addicted today? And why have so many people died as a direct result of this disease? If you've been affected by this problem and want answers like we do, then join us in our efforts to face this disease. Our purpose is to examine the truths, expose the lies, and uncover and provide resources to this affliction. Come, join us in this journey.
So, hey, this is Paul DeMello, and Paul DeMello is the founder of Just Against Children Drowning. He's a water safety advocate. He also installs mesh pool safety fencing, and the Just Against Children Drowning nonprofit was started after his two children, Josh and Christian DeMello, passed away.
The day that I got that telephone call was the worst phone call in my life. And still today, I look back on. I mean, matter of fact, the other day I was in the gym with a very good friend of mine, and I was telling him, "Wow, I can't believe it's been 8 years." And I woke up and I wanted to cry, and I was fighting back those tears, and I'm asking myself, why am I fighting back these tears so much? Because I feel like I shouldn't be like in this position where I'm grieving them so much, But they told me, "No, you'll miss them to the day you die." But yeah, pretty much the kids were with their mom, and their mom loved them to death, and the kids loved her too, and that's where it happened. So I wasn't there, so I probably never really will know exactly what happened. I can tell you there was definitely a lapse of time. We're taught that the first place we should look is the swimming pool. I know that today, and it was the last place that was checked. The twins got through to the pool area, and they both fell in. And a lot of times people ask me, "Wow, that's crazy. Both of them are gone. They both drowned." And yeah, I get it with twins. I remember watching my boys very closely, and they were always by each other's side. But anyways, we were separated at the time, and I had custody of my kids, and they were visiting with their mom at the grandparents' house. And that's when I got the phone call, and I remember hearing the screams, real loud screams, and I totally buckled. Like I ain't never been hit so hard like that in my life, and I remember falling down to the ground, and my oldest son come running out of his bedroom and scooping me up and basically bringing me to the car. And it was almost like I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to respond. I never imagined something like that would happen to my little guys. They were only 13 months old. I was always concerned about my 18-year-old, but not the little guys. They were just so perfect and pure. And one of the toughest things I've had to do was survive this, survive my emotions. And, that first year and a half, it was like somebody cut my legs off, I just couldn't get out of bed. I was crying every single day. Matter of fact, I cried for like 13 months straight, went to bed crying, woke up crying. But there was one thing that I held on to, and I got a phone call, I want to say 4 or 5 days after my little guy, Christian, passed away. He was able to donate his organs. And I remember hearing that, that his organ got donated, his kidneys got donated to a little girl, 19-year-old girl. And it was like I was crying and smiling at the same time. And I don't know if you've ever experienced that, crying and smiling at the same time. Mm-hmm. So I knew there was something about helping others. And so that's when I knew I had to do something, anything. And today I have a relationship with that family. And today I feel like my boys also gave me a mission, I'm like a dad on a mission kind of thing. And every day I pick this up, every single day, some way, shape or form. I got pictures all over my house about my twins. I got tattoos of my twins. I don't know. I adore them. I miss them. And a lot of times I feel like people are sick of hearing about them or seeing them, and that's that stinking thinking, I guess, that grief. But the fact of the matter is, only if you could have saw how I was when they were here. It was like hitting the lottery. I really enjoy being a dad. And there's just something about those little people that that unconditional love that they give you. And I think what I'm really trying to do is keep their spirit alive here on Earth through selfless labor. It's almost like a form of therapy for me. Probably one of the greatest opportunities I have is to share that story, about my boys and what happened, and of course always thinking about the solution and trying to take that tragedy and turning it into a gift for others, so they don't have to go through the same thing. I would say continue to be that helicopter type parent, always, when there's a body of water around, don't take it for granted, and it's not just the backyard swimming pool, it's the lakes, it's the canals, it's, the open water. It could be that pail of water that's sitting in your kitchen, I've heard of incidences where septic tanks left uncovered. I've heard of toilets, where kids get into the toilet bowl. You gotta be aware of your surroundings. I mean, childproof your home. Think about that water. It doesn't take much time for it to happen. And again, the ones that think it's not going to happen to are the ones I worry about the most. The ones that are putting up all the safety and stuff like that. And although it does happen to those type of parents too, because this isn't something that happens to just, bad parents or something. This happens to really good parents and loving, caring parents. And just don't let your guard down. Always be that helicopter type parent. Drowning prevention needs to be a message, a redundant message. It needs to be shared over and over. And let's not stop having this conversation. JustAgainstChildrenDrowning.org. It should pop right up, our website. And everything you need is right there to contact us.
Have you ever felt like you're unsure of the future or think that your past is going to stick with you? Do you have feelings of hopelessness, helplessness, and maybe no one believes in you or you don't believe in yourself? Well, my name is Joe, and I'm here to tell you that if you check in with Addiction Recovery TV, we have plenty of stories of people like that, including myself. We ask that you tune in, contact us, and get to know stories of other people like yourself to give you some hope and some feedback and a new outlook on life and how to move forward, because it's possible.
At Addiction and Recovery TV, we talk about raising awareness, and we also talk about the problems and situations revolving around addiction and recovery. And it's always important to remember that if you struggle in an area and you're looking for help or resources, there are plenty available. And sometimes it just takes picking up the phone and making one simple phone call that can make all the difference. So remember, we're always available, and we're ready to help you in any way that we know possible, and definitely lead you in the right direction, because along the pathway of darkness, there is a light of hope along those roads. So hopefully you will be open to see the light and walk in that direction. So if it's mental health, if it's addiction, even suicide, the help is always readily available. Just take that initiative to reach out and receive it.
26 years old. I was sitting in my truck in the parking lot of a movie theater getting high.
I was an outcast my whole life, like I didn't know where I belonged.
Knocking my head against the wall over and over and over again.
So I came to Narcotics Anonymous. I heard a message that made my ears pop.
People who I can relate to and identify with. Managed to heal relationships, start families, and be happy with life.
Drug problem? We can help. We've been there. Narcotics Anonymous.
Don't you want to know where you're going before you pull the trigger on that gun to your head? I'm about to tell you true stories. One day, I answered the suicide hotline, and I heard this woman's frantic voice say to me, "I know you helped stop suicide." My brother John called me, and he said he's so depressed, he has his finger on the trigger of his revolver, and when he pulls it, he's going to instant peace. She said, "I called the police. They're afraid to break down the door. He might pull the trigger." I said, "Quick, give me the phone number." I called it. Finally heard a man's voice say, "This is John. Goodbye to you and goodbye to the world. Bury me in peace." Believing he could hear me over their answering machine, I said, "Don't you want to know where you're going before you pull the trigger on that gun? What if it's worse for you after death than where you are now?" How do I know? I died. I went to the other side. I had horrific regrets. If suicide is a good idea, it will be a good idea next week. Please hear my story first. Death is not the answer. What I said caught John's interest. He picked up the phone and said, "I'll give you 1 week. If I don't agree with what you say, I'm finishing the job." He put the gun down, opened the door for the police. They took him to the mental hospital. I'll get back to you about John. What I want to talk to you now about is suicide prevention. If you know someone who's really feeling depressed or suicidal, raise your hand. Surprising, isn't it? Even though only God can judge accountability, many suicides are done for really small reasons. As an example, Robert, a 17-year-old outstanding high school student, committed suicide. Why? His parents were devastated when they read his note. It said he couldn't face them because he had a B on his report card. He was no longer a straight-A student. Suicide rates are skyrocketing. Back to John. While he was in the mental hospital, he heard my true life after life story. And he changed his mind about wanting to die. And he started a suicide prevention group right there in the hospital. Soon he was released. He went on to college, earned his psychology degree, and continued his life-saving work. What did I say to John that helped him so he changed his mind, decided he wanted to live? I told him about my childhood, which was very tragic. And then when I was 8 years old, I went to a funeral, and I heard how nice heaven is. Hey, I'm very practical. Why stay in this world with all of its problems if I could just die and go to that place of peace? From then on, I was suicidal. After a terrible auto accident in 1960 and 8 failed back surgeries, I attempted suicide twice. Then in 1980, my father committed suicide. This reinforced my belief that I wanted to die. In 1983, after having been severely ill for over a year, having repeated pneumonia, bedridden, allergic to the antibiotics, the doctor told me there was nothing more they could do for me and I was going to be dying. Wow, when I heard that, I was more thrilled than you would have been if you had winning tickets to the lottery. I wasn't going to have to kill myself. I was just going to die and go to that place of peace. My condition worsened. I woke up one day barely conscious. And then all of a sudden, I was up and looking down at my body. It was shocking. I had a life review. I saw how I'd given up. I didn't learn and make it through problems by giving up. I just wasted my valuable earth time. I also saw that when someone dies and it's their time to die, they go home to a grand celebration. It was agonizing regrets for me. I pleaded, please let me have another chance to live. I promised to tell everyone who would listen how valuable Earth time is. Then I saw this gold-crowned tooth. I knew that my tooth had something to do with my being so ill and dying. Then I was back in my body. I wasn't that wispy thing anymore. I could feel my face. The next day, I had my mom take me to the dentist. I insisted he pull that tooth, even though it didn't hurt and nothing showed on the x-rays. After it was out, the surprised dentist told me and showed me the blackened roots with melted infection up in my sinuses. I began feeling better immediately, and within 3 weeks I felt like a new person. One of the things I discovered while I was on the other side, we all began dying the day we were born, and none of us know how much time we have left on Earth. I also learned life is too short to be angry, to hold grudges, and the importance of being loving, kind, forgiving, merciful, even on the freeways. Look around you. There are many hurting people who could use a kind word, a good deed. And remember those people you thought of when you were thinking who was suicidal? Maybe you can help prevent suicide. Share my story. Share the message of what if it's worse for you after death than it is now. Suicide is not the answer. Life is worth living and loving, even with all of its challenges.
Valley in West Maui, Hawaii, this sacred site is overflowing with beauty and distant echoes of Hawaiian heritage, offering breathtaking views of lush forestry, streaming brooks, and towering peaks. One can't help but to be captivated by the spiritual influence of the waters and Polynesian experience. The multicultural legacy is commemorated here in the park, giving honor to the various cultures who came together working in the sugarcane industry. The Chinese, the Japanese, Korean, Filipino, and Portuguese, all working together in unison while purposing to maintain their own individuality. As I walk through the park, I see this same union taking place in nature, even in the trees. The intertwining and the growing together of the branches is quite remarkable. I look at this as the essence of the multicultural experience here in West Maui. The banyan tree, which is miles away on Front Street, displays this same type of integration. If you're in West Maui, Hawaii, be sure to check out the Iao Valley.
When you've tried everything else.
There was a time as a mother that I felt as though my daughter wasn't going to survive this.
When I got here, I was on the brink of death. They helped carry me when I didn't believe in myself. And I can honestly say it's the happiest I've been in years.
Enlightened Solutions has given me my daughter back, and for that, I'm very grateful.
Enlightened Solutions. Recover successfully.
Looking at this Danube River architecture and the waterline is absolutely remarkable. But when I think about what the Jews endured here in World War II, it's absolutely startling. Let's take a closer look down at the shoes on the Danube River.
standing here taking a moment of reflection, thinking about the horrors that the Jews endured here during World War II. In some bitter winter months, the story's been told of how many were lined along these riverbanks, many who were shot naked, falling into the hands of the cold river on a winter's day or maybe even evening here in Budapest. This is the story that's told here, lying right here along the riverside.
Although it is a tragic story told along this river line, we've come to see a people who, in spite of this terrible events that happen here along the Danube River, we have seen overcome and persevere, not only in these parts of Budapest, but in other parts of Europe. If the soul could be broken, wouldn't it be here? And if the spirit could be destroyed, couldn't it be here? But that is not the case. There is a story of inspiration that comes from the depths of these rivers.
Why should I forgive others who have hurt me? So many times in life, things happen to us caused by others, such as when my house was burned down by an arsonist. I lost everything. As I stood among the rubble, realized there really wasn't anything left there that showed I was even on this planet. But as I dug through the rubble, for months before I would let them take it out, it's amazing what you find on the bottom. Some papers, some pictures, but the thieves were almost as bad as the fire. Coin collection, belt collection, gun collection. I felt sorry for the soul of a person. Someday when they saw what they did, they judged themselves and saw how they'd wasted time, that their joy was hurting someone else, doing what they could to hurt someone else. Whether they knew they were hurting, some really enjoyed doing it, but for whatever reason. Truly felt sorry for their soul. Then other things happened in life along the way where we're called upon to be forgiving. And as I remembered from my experience of having been on the other side, of no longer wanting justice, I wanted mercy. But I found that in order to receive mercy, I would have had to have given mercy, which meant someone had to do something wrong so I could forgive them. Now, several years later, after having someone come into my life I really trusted, believed in, wanted to help. She'd been homeless. Seemed really a great match for both of us. She did have a problem of drinking, but I didn't realize there were other things. Then later, when I discovered how she had stolen so many things that, because I couldn't see them well, I didn't even realize they were gone till I went to get them. And even my little dog, who hadn't been feeling well, and had to put her special dog food I had ordered for her away. 3 weeks later, after this person was gone, I reached for a little dog food to give her, thinking I would try and see if she wanted that one, and discovered it was special dog food that was ordered 20. She had taken 18. Lysol wipes. Power supplies. So many things. It hurt. But I realize if I want blessings from the Lord, I have to become more Christ-like with all that He suffered for us. And from the cross, He said, forgive them, they know not what they do. It is very difficult, but we have to be forgiving for our sakes. When we hold a grudge and we want the worst for someone, it's like taking poison ourselves and waiting for the other person to die. Being forgiving cleanses our soul and helps open powers of heaven to be with us. It's up to God to judge. But He says, whom we are to forgive is everyone. We are to be forgiving and loving, minor compared to what other people are suffering and going through in the world. So as we concentrate on asking for the Lord to come into our lives and for our sins to be forgiven, sincerely, we need to be forgiving for our sakes. Why should we forgive? for the sake of our own soul and to receive the blessings that we need in order to make it through life. We leave all those things here when we need anyway. If anyone would have found a way to take everything with them, I would have done it. But since I couldn't get a U-Haul and take anything with me, which doesn't really matter when we're on the other side. Anyway, I started to say, if I can't do it, then no one can. Trying to be funny on a serious subject. As we believe, so shall we receive. As we give, so shall we receive. The day is filled with challenges and needing the Lord's help in all things. I need miracles today. We all need miracles. And the way to receive miracles is to believe in miracles, expect miracles, and be a miracle for someone else. And pray for the Lord's Spirit to be with us, our loved ones, and those around us, and for the person who's hurt us, to feel sorrow for their souls when they stand and see they're really doing this to themselves.
Maybe you can help us to help stop suicide. We need your help. We're a small nonprofit with a big message. How can you tell if someone's going to commit suicide? We have a fantastic brochure that gives you some tips, some ideas. But some of the other things about it is if someone's decided they want to get out of this life, just ask them, what if it's worse for you after death than it is where you are now? How do I know? I died. I went to the other side. I had a near-death experience. We've given away over 2,000 books, God's Heavenly Answers. If you know someone who needs this book and you need hope, please contact us. It's available for free if you need it, and hopefully maybe you'd be able to do a small donation, $5, $10, $15, $20, whatever you can do to help the cause. But it does answer a lot of questions. There is a reason and a purpose for being here. Also, we help teach you how to reap miracles. We'll send you a free copy of 10 Ways to Reap Miracles. Please let us hear from you.
I was 26 years old. I was sitting in my truck in the parking lot of a movie theater getting high.
I was an outcast my whole life, like I didn't know where I belonged.
Knocking my head against the wall over and over and over again.
So I came to Narcotics Anonymous. I heard a message that made my ears pop.
People who I can relate to and identify with. Manage to heal relationships, start families, and be happy with life.
Drug problem? We can help. We've been there. Narcotics Anonymous.